So guys, this is the boy who stabbed Kian Tordoff to death in a Bradford street. Sheryar Khan was 17, was just 16 when he carried out the attack close to the village nightclub in October last year. Khan was the subject of an anonymity order preventing him being named. However, following his conviction yesterday, that has now been lifted and West Yorkshire Police have released his picture. After a lengthy trial at Bradford Crown Court, the jury returned a unanimous guilty verdict on the murder charge, and Khan was also convicted of wounding with intent in respect of a second victim, Matthew Page, who suffered life-threatening injuries. Khan's older brother, Arbaz, who's 22, was cleared of a joint enterprise murder allegation, but he was convicted of manslaughter and unlawful wounding. Mohammed Adil Hussain of Bradford was found not guilty on the murder charge, but guilty of manslaughter and unlawful wounding. 3 other men, Arbaz Khan, Ahmad Shakil and Adam Qayyum, were all cleared of murder, manslaughter and the wounding charges. At the start of the trial, in early June, the jury heard how Mr. Tordoff died after suffering multiple stab wounds during a large-scale early hours disturbance in the city centre last October. The 19-year-old died from major blood loss after a deep stab wound in the back damaged his lung and severed his main artery. The teenager, who had earlier been out with friends at the village nightclub, had also stab wounds to his neck, chest and hip, and a pathologist also found evidence of defensive wounds to his hand and arms as he tried to stop the knife or knives hitting important parts of his body. So Sheryar Khan has been jailed for 16 years. Judge Mansell said, Sheryar Khan, the sentence for murder is fixed by law, and given your age, the sentence is detention at Her Majesty's pleasure. I am obliged to fix a minimum period that you must serve in custody before you are eligible to apply for release on licence. Everyone should understand that it is not an automatic right to be released at the end of your minimum period. You will only be released if the parole board consider it safe to release you, and then when released, you will be on licence for life. This means that you are liable to recall to prison at any time for breaching the conditions of your licence or reoffending. Since you were 16 at the time of the killing and you took a knife and a machete to the scene to use as weapons, I consider the ferocity of the assault, which was graphically caught on CCTV footage, is an aggravating factor. The presence of other young people who witnessed the violence and the aftermath, including Kian dying in front of them, is an aggravating factor. As for mitigating factors, whilst I accept that you did not set out with a specific intent to kill Kian, when you chased him, your assault upon him with 2 deadly weapons was so ferocious and sustained that I consider that any mitigation to be had from a lack of intent to kill is extinguished altogether. As to your mental disorder, I do not regard the psychotic symptoms of hearing voices as significantly reducing your culpability for the killing. I listened with care to the evidence of both psychiatrists and have found little evidence that your psychosis had driven your actions on previous occasions or that it drove your behaviour in committing the offences. The judge went on to say the only voices commanding you to behave as you did came from your older brother. However, that is not to say that I ignore your mental disorder altogether. So his brother, Arbaz Khan, was sentenced to 11 years for manslaughter, and Mohammed Adil Khan was convicted of manslaughter and he was jailed for 9 years. The court heard that Kian and his friend Mr. Lothar had been out at the village nightclub when a large-scale brawl erupted at the top of Westgate around 5 o'clock in the morning. This involved Sheryar Khan's older brother Arbaz Khan and another defendant in the trial, a man called Abdullah, known as Chaser. Arbaz Khan said he went over to try and talk to Chaser because he had been having issues with Sheryar, but CCTV showed Chaser punching Arbaz in the face twice before the fight began and more people joined in. Both Kian and Mr. Lothar were involved, with the latter kicking a white Seat Leon, Arbaz Khan, Ahmad Shakil, Adam Qayyum, Mohammed Adil Hussain and their uncle were trying to flee in, while Kian smashed the windscreen with a bottle. Just half an hour later, those 4 named men returned to Bradford city centre with the killer teenager who was 16 at the time and Arbaz Khan, who was driving a white BMW X5 with the men, who picked up a mobile phone which Arbaz Khan had dropped during his fight. So as this phone was handed over, the car slowly moved a few more yards before Sheryar Khan flew out of the front passenger seat wielding 2 blades while the car was still moving, and Arbaz Khan was close behind from the back, armed with a machete. Witnesses who were part of the group on John Street said the windows of the BMW were down and they heard, "Do you think you're fucking clever now?" from inside. And less than 30 seconds of these men leaving the vehicle, Kian had been fatally stabbed. So guys, this is a new story coming from Bradford. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace, Kian, and my condolences go out to your family. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.